guys, Naomi Kyle here, back with IGN Live at E3 2013. If you want a constant stream of game info, check us out on Facebook or follow at IGN on Twitter. Right now, it's time to remind you that life is like a hurricane. Race cars, lasers, aeroplanes. Yep, it's time for DuckTales Remastered.
Thank you, Naomi. I'm joined now by Ray and Austin. They're going to tell us all about DuckTales Remastered. I don't know if you guys even know how excited we at IGN were when we heard this was happening.
I know. I was at IGN the office a few weeks ago when we did the capture for the Amazon level. So I know how excited you guys are, and I'm glad to know that you guys are just excited as we are.
It's one of those things that it seems too good to be true. Like, I would never have thought this game would be remade, remastered. Yeah, it's incredible.
We were saying that when we were approached for the game. It's like,
are you sure? Are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah, but yeah, it's been pretty amazing.
Yeah. So what are we going to see today?
So, so you guys premiered online, the Amazon level. So we have it playable here. So a lot of the guys, the attendees of E3, have just been getting down on the Amazon level. I think it has one of the more happy music soundtracks of all the levels that we have in the game, and it's really bouncy and jungly. So very appropriate.
Is this like the original game?
We used the original NES game like as the basis, so all the levels are there, everything you remember about the music, the level layouts, all the hidden items. If you played it and you remember the NES game really well, muscle memory comes back. You start jumping through areas and all the treasures you remember come up in the same places. But we also have expanded the levels a little bit, so the rules kind of been like 60% original and 40% new, so the levels are a little longer, a little more run-ins with the enemies you remember, and expanding some of the fun things about different areas, like the Launchpad helicopter sequence in Amazon's a little longer now. It's a little more fun, a little more to explore, a little more challenging. In Transylvania, the minecart section is a little longer, a little more involved. But we really stayed true to the original game, not trying to replace it, but using it as the core structure of the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely more about the actual gameplay and the way the levels are designed. But as your viewers are saying, we really expanded upon the story. There was not that much story going on in the NES version, but it's really meant to make each level feel like an episode of DuckTales. It really explains what's going on. It's kind of like this whole little enclosed story, and it really makes the game feel more like an adventure, which DuckTales, is one of the big core tenets of DuckTales.
So how do you start remaking an NES game?
The first thing we did is we played the NES game a lot. We had to play it day in, day out. It was really fun for the level designers because they had to go through and find every single gem on every single difficulty level, because the original game had difficulty levels and all the pickups were different in each of the difficulty levels. So we actually had the game running side by side, running off the emulator with our version of the game, running through the same controller. So we were matching the jumping, the walking, the pogo jump. We were matching Scrooge's mobility perfectly, between the two games, and then from there everything else just sort of fell into place.
So this should feel like the NES game.
It really does.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You pick it up, and the great thing is you can play with the D-pad and it feels just like the NES one, and the analog works great too. You can play both ways.
That's not entirely true, because the pogo action works more like DuckTales 2, which was a simplified, actually much more logical feel, where you just jump in the air and then you hit the pogo button and then you do the pogo.
Well, there is the option, because it's off by default. It's not on easy mode because people would accidentally turn it on, but DuckTales 2 and the Game Boy game, the Game Boy version of DuckTales 1, you did not have to press down on the D-pad in order to perform the pogo jump, but we have that there as an option. But also, when you're playing it on extreme difficulty, you have to use the hard pogo mode.
Which is actually, that's something we haven't talked too much about.
We haven't, yeah.
But there's an extreme mode.
But yeah, if you want to play it on extreme, you're gonna have to do it in the classic, difficulty.
Really hardcore.
Yeah. So on the screen right now, we're going into one of the secret areas. Well, it's not super secret. You actually have to go there in order to complete the level to find a coin, which is kind of a new thing. It kind of goes into why you're going through the level. And if you have trouble finding them, one of the things that we've added for easy mode and medium mode is a map. They function in slightly different ways, but that wasn't in the NES version at all. But the option is definitely there to play the harder difficulty, so you don't have a map. Sure. So if you want to test yourself, like see if you remember where everything is, or just do the old, good old-fashioned, play the game and explore every little nook and cranny, you absolutely can.
Yeah, put it on the hard difficulty, and it'll be what you remember from the NES game, the closest.
Yeah.
Now, the original game is known for having some of the best music of the NES era.
Yes.
So how did you guys approach updating the music?
Well, our in-house composer, Jake Kaufman, says that as a child he already knew what it would sound like if he ever had the opportunity to remake it. Yeah. So, for these arrangements, he kind of had an idea of what each level, its theme kind of was, and he was really happy to have the opportunity to do that. He just sort of has his own creative process. He goes off and does his thing, and big credit to Disney and Capcom for just, there were never any notes. It was just, he went and made it, and it came back perfect every time, and the music just sounds amazing. I think people are going to be blown away by everything, and our Moon arrangement is probably the best version of the Moon theme. It's the best version of the Moon theme I've ever heard, so it's amazing.
Yeah, and he has a very good, very good technique that's really based in this retro 8-bit style, because even for the new tracks that were created for the game, he started off with an 8-bit version that he created first, and then he created his remastered versions, which are just the more, I guess, composed, has more instruments, but he managed to keep a very retro sound in his newer tracks, which is I think is he's one of the few people that are really good at doing that.
Nice. You said the levels are expanded. Are there any all new levels?
There's the first level, which is kind of a tutorial stage. It takes place in the money bin. And then after that, you unlock all 5 stages. You can play them in any order, just like the NES game. But after you've completed all 5 stages, rather than returning to Transylvania like you do in the NES game, we thought it'd be better to introduce a new level. And so you go to Mount Vesuvius, and then it's a completely original level with all new gameplay stuff. Well, it's taking pieces from the other levels, but in a whole new arrangement that we really hope people have fun with.
Yeah. I think. It's a nice little treat for gamers that really know the original NES DuckTales. They played it yesterday and then they're going to play it today. So I had this whole new level, something for me new to figure out. And I think they were able to add some really cool classic gameplay elements that they weren't able to probably do on the NES, so they just didn't do it for whatever reason, and put it in this game.
So who have you been hearing from? I know a lot of IGN's readers are too young to have seen the original DuckTales. We're excited about it, but we're kind of old guys, so. Who have you been hearing from that are excited about DuckTales Remastered?
Oh man, from everybody who has ever played the original game, just going around, just randomly talking to people, they're saying, "Oh, thank you so much for doing this. I loved DuckTales as a kid. I love the NES game, or I love the show." And that's something that's great for us. It's since we got to bring the voice actors back, we got all the currently surviving voice actors from the show to do voices in the game. And so, just bringing the voice actors back just makes the game feel so much more alive, and it sort of bridges the gap between the TV show and the game for a lot of people. So it's really a celebration of DuckTales as a whole, not just the NES game, but everything that we remember from 20 plus years ago.
Yeah, and actually what we're finding, that there are a lot of parents that kind of our age right now, that grew up watching DuckTales, that are consciously making an effort to introduce them to the old stuff, including DuckTales, buying them the DVD, having their kids watch that. Because I know, we're all crotchety old men already, oh, cartoons nowadays are so lame.
Yeah.
So you fix that by showing them the stuff that we watched when we were younger. This is a really cool bit. Absolutely, there was no reference to this at all in the NES game, but it basically is I was going through the level to collect coins. Why? It's so I could activate this whatever the totem.
The Manco Cap Quack
totem here, yeah, and basically it climaxes in this kind of Indiana Jones style reveal of how to get to Manco Cap Quack's temple.
We really try to expand the levels and make them playful and really kind of bring the spirit of the show in there. And so when you play through the level, you get the full story and why he's bringing the temple. You'll see them rise from the ground here, by collecting all the coins and what that leads to in the end of the level.
Yeah. Actually, what's really cool too, and a lot of the characters and the enemies in this really reflect that, is that since they're not bound by the limitations of the NES, the 8-bit graphics, they're able to use inspiration from the comics, TV show, personal life, and inject them into the characters. And not like Scrooge, but more like the enemies that you fight against.
Gentlemen, the game looks great. I love that it exists, that you guys are remastering it. Like I said, I never would have guessed that would happen, but I'm so glad that it is happening.
We're extremely glad to bring it to you guys, and this guy's super happy to be working on it.
Yeah, this is amazing. I hope everyone enjoys it, and that we can do more.
Is there a release date yet?
So right now we're saying summer this year.
This year, okay.
Yeah, and it'll be available on PSN, XBLA, Wii U eShop, and Steam.
Excellent. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
DuckTales Remastered coming this summer. Back to you, Naomi.
Thanks, Damon. I can't believe it's coming back. Hope you enjoyed that retro look, everybody. Coming up next, we're going to switch gears and go a little darker than DuckTales, believe it or not. The brand new survival horror game, The Evil Within, is left.